Hi, my name is Darnell, and I'm from the Middlesex Church of Christ in Malden. And today I am going to be talking about how I've learned to be a lot more thankful for all the things I'm given in life. And I did a presentation recently for my youth group, and I'm going to be talking about it here today. I would also like to say before I begin, thank you all for watching. Recently, I had a conversation with someone about how sometimes I tend to undermine God's blessings. I hear testimonies weekly in church about my fellow brothers and sisters' experiences with God, and I wondered why I haven't had a grand experience of my own. I wondered why God hasn't revealed himself to me. I acknowledge now that it was wrong for me to think this way, but I couldn't help but wait for this great thing to come. After giving it some more thought, I realized that maybe the reason why I felt I hadn't had any experiences with God is because I was blessed enough to be more fortunate than many. I haven't experienced hardship, so I ignored my blessings, passing them off as the bare minimum. Through extensive research, however, I have come to learn how wrong I was and how truly blessed I am with every opportunity I'm given. For those of you who don't know, there is a third world country in the Middle East called Yemen. It has been on the news a lot recently, and it is known as the largest humanitarian crisis in the world. A quote on UNICEF.com says that Yemen is the largest humanitarian crisis in the world, with more than 24 million people, some 80% of the population, in need of humanitarian assistance, including more than 12 million children. There are some statistics from the website that I would like to read off to all of you. They say that out of school prior to COVID-19 closures, this includes 2 million children at least, and the number is still rising. That means that there were at least 2 million kids before Corona shut down schools that weren't getting educated to begin with. That is a very large number, and when I read that, I realized that I could have been one of those children as well, and I'm glad that I was fortunate enough to be able to get an education, because now that I'm looking at it from a bigger picture, from a wider perspective, I can see that not everyone gets the same opportunities that I do, and I have to be more grateful for the things I have in life, even something that may seem as simple as an education, because many people immigrate to this country for an education. I was lucky enough to be born here, receiving it just because I had been born in this country, when others aren't as fortunate to be able to do the same. The website also says that around 2 million children under the age of 5 are malnourished. That means there are toddlers, infants, that are starving, that are hungry, that are sick because they can't get enough food every day. There are images all over the internet with children with sunken in skin. There you can see all their ribs, you can see all their bones. They're just skin and bones. There's no fat there because they don't get the same nutrients that I'm able to here. They're hungry, and they have to worry about if they'll be able to even eat for the day. I am lucky enough to never have needed to worry about something like that. And to think about how some people do, it's very humbling. UNICEF also said that children are forced to face violence every day due to the conflicts in the Middle East. Their homes are basically on a battlefield. Children are being killed and burned on the streets, and many sustained fatal injuries. Hospitals don't have the proper equipment to continue running, and a lot of nurses and doctors work without any pay. Another quote said that 10.2 million children don't have access to basic health care. Some hospitals and schools are damaged from the conflict. And now that COVID-19 has spread drastically throughout not only that country but throughout the world, around 7.8 million children in Yemen now do not have access to education due to COVID-19, on top of the 2 million children who were out of school prior to the outbreak. That's around 10 million kids that aren't able to receive an education. There are more statistics that I found online, and I would also like to read those out to all of you. There are 24 million people in need of humanitarian assistance in Yemen. 3.3 million are internally displaced people. 17.8 million are people in need of water and sanitation. 20.1 million people who are food insecure. 19.7 million people who need basic health care. 3 million acutely malnourished children, pregnant or lactating women. 9,864 people registered deaths resulting from conflict, and 60,000 people are registered injuries resulting from conflict. I would just like you all to take a second to think about that. Of all the statistics I've read there, I would not fit into any of those categories. And yet, 24 million other people do. 24 million. When I read those numbers, I feel humble, I feel sad, but I also feel blessed. I feel sympathy for these people because they're going through such difficult times. And when I think about that, I have to thank God for everything that I'm given. Who am I to complain for any small little difficulty or struggle, if you can even call it that, when there's 24 million people in just one country going through 100 times more pain than I could ever imagine. There's also, if you took the time to look up images of children from Yemen at this time, you would see many pictures of children that are just skin and bones, sick, lying down on cardboard on the street near rubble. There's even a picture of an old man carrying a child out of the debris from one of the recent conflicts. I would encourage anyone who sees this to take the time to research this crisis as well, because it is very humbling to see what is going on. And there's also many ways to donate to this cause as well, to help better the lives of the people over there. I would like to conclude this by saying that we live in a society where people love to play the victim. It's always a competition to see whose struggles are more severe. And oftentimes we find ourselves searching for something to be upset about. Sometimes to gain sympathy or pity, and other times to justify our pain. This mindset, I believe, is a selfish and toxic one. I chose to acknowledge my narrow-mindedness and educate myself in order to appreciate what I have. Even having the opportunity to just take out my laptop and type in a Google search is a blessing. I quite literally have the world at my fingertips, and for a time I chose to ignore it. By taking the time out of my week to learn more about what's going on in the world around me, I realized that I have everything to be thankful for. So, from this, I hope each and every person that views this video does the same and learns to value everything God gives you, no matter how big or small. Thank you.